Hello, this is UATV. My name is Henry Keane, Steel Henry Keane, and we talk with Glen Grant, British Army Lieutenant Colonel and defense expert. Hello, Mr. Grant. Thank you, sir, for finding time.
No, my pleasure, my pleasure.
Right. Well, Ukrainian forces report more than 1,000 Russian soldiers every single day. The Kremlin couldn't care less, of course, as usual, not only because it's the Kremlin and it never did, but also because it does not change anything, right? 1,000, 10,000 for them slowly, in knee-high in blood, but Russians are gaining ground or not. And it's Ukrainians maybe who are gaining ground. What's going on there?
It's a very difficult situation because actually both sides are intertwined. So you can't say who's gaining ground and who isn't. The Russians are still pouring people forward. I mean, as you say, we're killing 1,000 soldiers a day, and still they come. But they've made the decision 2 years ago that this is the way to fight. Go back to the old ways of the Russian front, and you just pile men upon men upon men, and work your way through. And they've been quite successful at it. And it's going to remain successful. So, I mean, even if we manage to hold the line, there may be a pause, and there may even be a pause at Pokrovsk, but somehow I doubt it. I think they're just going to keep the pressure on. And that means that it goes back to what I've said time and time again before, right, is that people have actually got to start thinking a bit more carefully about what we're doing and how we're fighting. Because again, we allowed a pocket, and again, we're actually defending a pocket, which means that you've got to put soldiers on three sides of a pocket instead of following the solid military rule, which is when you're in defense, you keep the line straight. And if military history is just full of examples of generals who say, no, we pull that division back. We pull that division back, we pull that corps back, even we pull that army back to keep the line straight, because it reduces the number of soldiers you need. Straight line defense is the best way. So we've got to start doing this because we're losing too many people, getting cut off and getting isolated. And it's not efficient. It's not efficient, and in the long run, it's not effective.
All right. Well, that's maybe a topic of absolutely separate conversation, because too many questions rises immediately after I hear answers like that from experts. But let's slide smoothly to weapons. I mean, the American weapons, the US and NATO are sending more weapons now, even discussing the supply of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Is that what Ukraine really needs now, Tomahawk missiles?
Well, there's no question that any long-range weapons will help the strategic battle. Absolutely. Whether the strategic battle is capable of changing the paradigm is still open to question.
Right.
There is no doubt, absolutely no doubt that there are a lot of Russians that are now unhappy because they can't get their fuel and they can't do what they want to do with their businesses.
Right.
Things like lorry transport and stuff like this. So it is causing problems in the system. And I read that. Well, actually, I didn't just read. I saw the video of youngsters actually chanting sort of "Get rid of Putin" in St. Petersburg. My concern is that they're not chanting that because they want they want the West to be okay. They're chanting that because they want the new leader to win the war. So we still haven't actually broken that sort of paradigm of Russians saying this is a stupid thing to do. We shouldn't be fighting. And that worries me because Tomahawk, I don't think is going to do that. It's not going to have that effect.
And what is going to do that, Mr. Grant?
Front line. It's the only thing. The only way we're going to win this war, to be sure of it, is to make sure that we have enough soldiers on the front line and that they are properly equipped. not just equipped by volunteers, not just equipped by, constant begging from people all over the world to give us another car and everything else, but just concentrating on what do the boys on the front line need and giving it to them so that they can fight offensively, not just defensively.
Right.
In other words, what do we need to head for Crimea? What is it that we actually need? We need boats. We need people trained on to use boats. We need lighter artillery that we can take across the water on boats. History says the only way to beat the Russians is to get behind them. But once you get behind them, they run away. We've seen this. We've seen this in Ukraine. We've seen it. The lesson is clear. Get behind them, they run away. And they will this time, because as soon as the leadership 40, 50 kilometers back think they're in trouble, they will hightail it as fast as they can go. They're not going to stay around. And then the soldiers at the front, they'll collapse because there is no leadership except by fear. And the moment you take that leadership by fear away, the front line will collapse. Not maybe all of it, but certainly a good chunk of it. History says.
Well, that might be enough to crumble all the front line, but Mr. Glen, I mean, the West is still too cautious. Is that what you're saying, right? Slow and political in actions, because you mean the West?
Yeah, I mean, I think the West is cautious, and I also think that the linkage between, let's just say, the front line and the donors is still too fractured, going through the logistics, the general staff, the Ministry of Defence, and I don't think the two are as coherent as they need to be, and that also brings its own problems for the West, because then when the West is not totally committed to something, it doesn't feel that it's not quite sure. And I've heard the British, and I've heard from other countries as well. We're giving what we're asked to give. So in other words, they're only delivering what they're asked to deliver. They're not delivering, in some cases, what they could deliver because they're not asked to deliver that.
Oh, that's something. Right. So that
is a line that I've heard.
We Ukraine are not asking from we the West what we Ukraine need.
In some ways, I mean, if we ask the Japanese for 2,000, 3,000 cars, Toyota pickups,
fair enough.
And yet people are bringing cars from America, for goodness sakes. They're shipping them from America for the front line. I mean, Latvia has just sent, I can't remember exactly how many, 150, something like that, to the front line. And other countries are doing it, and every day they're asking for cars, which is something simple but absolutely fundamental. You can't replenish yourself. You can't go and buy batteries without a car to drive back and pick them up at the garage 30 kilometers back or 40 kilometers back. So these are fundamentals, a part of the logistic system of an organized army.
Right.
And when you take that away, you've got soldiers wasting time to do things that they shouldn't have to do. You've got officers wasting time worrying about where do we get this, where do we get that, when those things could be or should be supplied. Start with the cars. That will make a big difference to people. Ambulances.
Yeah, I mean, I was driving ambulance 4 years ago. Only came to Kiev with my colleague Simon Schuster from Time magazine. We didn't do that, so we hear that constantly. I'm not sure why it has not been done before, because this is a brilliant idea to ask on a governmental level the Japanese to ask us, like, not new, just used pickups.
Yeah,
easy. I don't think that would be a very big problem for them. But okay, maybe
I would just add this one thing, that I think that we're looking for the silver bullet. We've been looking for the silver bullet since the beginning of the war. We need this. We need F-16. We need this, and none of those silver bullets will actually change the paradigm. The only thing that will change the paradigm is the soldier, the man on the ground, is actually the person, the thing that will actually change things. And so unless we enable those by training, by proper equipment for each individual, we will not go forward.
Duly noted. Putin, right. Well, that's Putin threatened. Yeah, Putin is lovely. Putin threatens the world again with nuclear escalation. Again, the world this time just laughs at it openly. Is that the right reaction, you think?
Very difficult to say, but I don't think he's going to use nuclear weapons, because I think that this is one step beyond. Unless he's got a suicide feeling in his own head, I'm going to go down in a blaze of glory, which is entirely possible. But I do think that the majority of his troops and the people around him would try to stop him, because none of them want to go down in a blaze of glory. I mean, don't forget, Lavrov's got, house in the West, family in the West. So have many of the others. So have most of the oligarchs have got houses and family in the West. They're not going to want to lose all that just for, this strange little dwarf in a bunker.
Well, that strange little dwarf in the bunker is already complicating their lives at the moment. Or
he
not.
has. He has, and I mean, but many of them have benefited from this. I mean, it's a lot of the oligarchs are actually a lot richer now because of the military contracts, because of government money pouring into their pockets. But that's the good side of it. The bad side is we don't want to lose it. So I'm pretty sure that most of their wives and children are saying, "Dad, don't let the little dwarf go nuclear." Because it's us that gets it. So I think that I think he's just pushing the fear envelope, hoping that more people, ordinary citizens, will delay support a bit because they're a bit worried, and some do. There's no question, some do. I mean, come on, he's still got his Hungary, and he's got his Slovakia, and now Czech Republic. Flags just taken down from Parliament building. Ukrainian flag taken down from the Parliament building in Czech Republic. So I just saw the video. So he's still. I think sometimes he still thinks he's winning, and that we are going to crack before.
Undoubtedly, absolutely. He built the system, the very structure of it, the architecture of his system. It starts and ends with His Majesty.
Yeah.
And I don't think that even the reconnaissance, military reconnaissance, and the intelligence are giving him the proper, actual, real information. Maybe they give him the information that he wants to see.
Yeah.
Also possible, but that's just a speculation, of course. But all right. Well, yeah. I have two questions in one. Do you believe Putin will ever be held accountable for what he have done, and will Western leaders have enough political will to actually, launch and finish?
That's two questions in one, isn't it? That really is. I mean, the first question: do I believe he'll be held accountable? No, because I think he'll be killed before by someone before he reaches that stage. Western leaders, most of them are so weak, aren't they? I mean, come on, this is the weakest bunch of men and women that in power that the world has seen for thousands of years. I mean, every one of them, 100 years, 200 years ago, every one of them would have had their country taken over because they're so lacking in spine. Germans beginning to show a bit of fight, and I see that the AfD, the German party, a couple of them are heading off to Russia to talk to Putin. So even Germany's got internal problems. But I hope that even if Putin gets killed at the final curtain, that we manage to put Lavrov, Gerasimov, and a few of others into the Hague, and at least make some people suffer for a long time. And those people people on the television who constantly talk about nuking and killing. Let's see a few of those in The Hague for 20 years.
Absolutely. What we want to happen, absolutely. I mean, there is a collective West, which I hate to say, but there must be a collective Putin just as well. And these people are not scenery. But if Putin escapes accountability, how do you think China, Iran, North Korea will interpret such a signal? Can they unite and destroy the West?
Well, I'm not sure they can unite to destroy. Nor do I think that China wants to. I think China wants to buy and maneuver its way with small steps, because the Chinese look at long term. So why would you destroy things with a war if you don't need to? Better to build a few more islands in the South Sea, take a bit more, and think about what you're going to do over the next 300, 400 years, because that's the way the Chinese mind works. And I don't see them coming together to do something unless again it was so critical that they had no choice, and because each of them knows that there's a chance that if they do that, it's going to destroy themselves.
Right.
And they're all there. These people are survivors. They're not. They're not megalomaniac in the way that Hitler was. Putin is, but the others aren't. They just want to destroy and damage and watch us break. They're using a different paradigm for that.
Right. Well, agree absolutely. But Trump's words about progress towards peace, whatever that means, hinting on that peace is possible through negotiations, perhaps even through an agreement between Ukraine and Russia. Is that illusions, delusions?
Oh, he's deluded. Because funny enough, I've just written about the fact that what worries me at the moment with the president's administration in Ukraine is that they seem to be heading for elections, or working towards elections, and if they are, then it means that they've already made some sort of thought or agreement of a ceasefire, of some sort of early peace agreement.
Yeah, well,
But that doesn't take into account the population, and I'm not sure that Ukraine as a whole is happy about that. Maybe they are.
Maybe we are here, but I'm definitely not sure about that. Not sure. Well, we are a couple of weeks, and we're going to know. But do you believe that these negotiations with Trump with Putin is likely to happen?
Well, I think they're going on all the time.
Right.
I think negotiations are going on all the time. Having every day, having some, they're talking all the time. Don't think that they're not. And my suspicion is, I'm fairly sure that the president's administration is also talking all the time to someone, backdoor through into Russia. So I would not be surprised all of a sudden if things suddenly folded and we agreed and things like this. But it would take it would take some sort of reinforcement of any agreement to be very, very obvious and clear. And I'm sorry, but come on, anything except America is a joke. The rest of Europe still hasn't got itself to a level where it could guarantee any support to Ukraine at all. I mean, Ukraine has got 150 brigades on the front line. Europe can't put 150 brigades on the front line. So they can't even replace the front line, even if they want to. Even just small parts of it. So it would have to be US and US power, not just, brigades, but actually real power. And all the firepower and all the enablers that the US has got. And Trump is not going to do that. He's not going to put it there. He said that. And we all know he loves Putin, so he's not going to put it there. Because what he would like to see is some sort of agreement, and then Putin take another big slice of the country. His team have even been endorsing that. So the risk for Ukraine of people going around the back door behind them is very high. I don't think the Western countries that we talk about will or want to, but they're pretty powerless in the big game.
They're powerless because there's not a choice, or is there no power? Or
I think it's
there's no will.
I think it's political choice in their own countries, for holding on to power and holding on to what they've got. And I think it's crass ignorance that they just really don't understand what this is all about. Because you can see it, because the words that come out from them, there are not enough strong words on a daily basis, except from Germany. The rest of them are not talking in the right way. Macron comes up with idea after idea, but these are, what can you call them? Uncosted, unsupported ideas that he produces he just throws them out every now and again to try and make him seem as though he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't.
Yeah, it's like business proposals and propositions.
Yeah. And Starmer in UK is just overwhelmed by the fact that his government is failing badly. So he hasn't got the time or energy to put to a Ukraine war. He just has to leave it to his defense minister and not give him any more money. So, we're left with what? Finland and Estonia.
Well, it's a grim picture that you just painted here.
We're going to win. We're going to win. We must win.
Yeah. We must. Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know what actually is more dangerous for Ukraine. Losing Pokrovsk is not that crucial, seems to me, to get suddenly wake up in the morning and say that we already have an agreement and people just don't know about it.
Oh, agreement's the most dangerous. There's no question in my mind. Agreement, not because not facing up to the reality of a real war, which still the president's administration are not doing, are not actually facing up to how do we win this war. And if they did, things would change quite quickly. If they started replacing second-rate people with first-rate people, if they started removing generals that are not competent, and actually bringing back half the people that they've sacked and put in reserve who are competent, stop worrying about politics and worry about winning the war, that they'd actually win the politics. That's the ironic part of it, is that if Zelensky wants another term, he needs to win, not to play politics. And he wins another term by doing what he doesn't want to do. So it's antithetical. Just bring the best people back, win the war.
Well, what can I say? But thank you so very much, Lieutenant Colonel Mr. Grunt, for another beautiful, a bit grim and dangerous, but we already got used to it somehow, picture. And thank you for your expertise and your time. And let's see what is going to happen in literally next week.
Yeah, and Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you so very much, sir.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.